Welcome. We're going to take a look today at the Maya time slider and how to get it to function the way that we want it to for our animation needs. So what I'm going to do today is just take a look at a very simple bouncing ball here. We're actually not going to bounce it, it's just going to be a ball. I'm going to set a key just at the first frame. I'm going to go down to frame 24 and I'll just place a key at the other end. Okay, so all I did there was to set a key was to hit S on the keyboard. And you can see here if I go to my graph editor and I hit F, the graph editor converts to a framed view of our curves. Okay, so the time slider here, you can see right now that there's a key at the front and a key at the end. We can change the size of the time slider to make it easier to see if we need to, just by dragging that up and down. We can move a key in the time slider by holding Shift and left clicking on that key and then dragging that up and down. We can shift the position of a key. Okay, if we have more than one key, for instance, let me just add a few more keys here. Let's say I put a key here, here, and here, and I want to manipulate these group of keys. Then I can hold Shift, left click, drag over those keys, and now I can move those keys as a group. I can also use these yellow markers here on the ends, little arrows, to either stretch the keys. So I'm stretching the time, scaling the time. Okay, you can do that on either end. I wouldn't recommend scaling the time because one of the things that you notice here is that the keys are not falling on actual frames. Okay, they're actually being scaled into decimal points of a frame. So this is being scaled at 4.02 or something, and this one's being like 8.8. Okay, we don't want to have our keys on in between frames. We want to have them on whole frames. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that and put them back. Okay, so you can see here now that they are on 1, 3, 6, and 9. Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm working on whole frames, not individual frames. Okay. Now if I can just grab, say, these 3 frames here, and I can grab these 2 arrows in the middle, and I can move them as a group, and that's not going to scale them at all. Okay, so I can move these down here to, say, frame 9, and now those keys live on frame 9, 12, and 15. Okay, so that's okay. We can do that without a problem. So that's one way we can manipulate groups of keys. Okay. The other basic things that we can do here is we can left click, we bring up our menu set here, we can do all the basic functionality, cut, copy, paste, delete, we can snap keys to whole curves, we can look at our different menu sets, our different types of keys, we can look at our different types of tangents. It also has the basic blue pencil built in here. We have the time slider bookmarks, which we can create bookmarks on our time slider, and cache playback you can turn on and off. Playback speed, we always want to be working in real-time playback, and in our case we're working in 24 frames per second, which you can see right here. Okay, the display key ticks, this will change the look of how the ticks are on the slider. The playback looping, you can have it continuously loop, you can have it play once, or you can have it oscillate. I usually leave this on continuous. You can set your frame range. You can set the time display from frames to time code. Okay. Enable step preview allows you to turn this on, and it will look like your keys are in stepped mode rather than in spline mode, which they currently are, and we'll go into that a little later on to further describe that. You can also have auto snap keys turned on, so when you are scaling it can auto snap them. And you have your audio, which you can import audio or manipulate or mute your audio that is part of your time slider, and you can do a play blast. Okay, we'll go into the play blast options at a later date, but this is where you would actually create a play blast of the animation. Okay, and it'll bring up a play blast of what's happening in your scene. Okay, but we'll go into the details of a play blast in another video. Okay, Now, what else can we do here? The time slider has your basic functions here, the play button, reverse button, and you can also skip between key frames, okay? You can do individual frames, or you can go to the start or the end of your time slider, okay? We can also punch in a specific number. If I want to go to frame 14, I can go to frame 14 right there, okay? And that's the basics of our time slider. We will be getting into some other details here later on, but just so you know, you can also set the overall length of your scene here. So if my scene is 200 frames long, I can go here and I can punch in 200 frames. And now my overall length of my scene is 200 frames. Okay, now you can't see it on the time slider right now, but if I was to take this gray little box here and drag that out, I can see my entire scene frame range. Okay, or I can reduce that and just look at the individual area of animation that I'm currently working on, which in this case is 1 to frame 24. And you can also drag that bar as a whole unit as well. Okay. You can change any of these numbers. So this is your current position number. So if I want to have my cursor on frame 50, right, or my time slider, I should say, frame 50, I can set it here and it will move the time slider to a view of 50 frames instead of 24 frames, or I can jump back to 24. This is the frame that your scene will start at. Now you can go into negative numbers here, but we tend to not do that unless it's for a very specific reason. Okay, so we tend to start at 0 and or 1 depending on what the requirements are for the shot. And if you need to, you can go into, say, negative 100 or whatever it is, but that is only that's on special cases. You're always going to try and start your animation on frame 1. Okay, and that is the basics of our time slider. Okay, so like I said, if you have any questions, let me know, but if you should be able to kind of get around and do what you need to do with your work at this point. Okay, thank you.